Kairos Nation and community. It's your girl, Dr. K, with another Teacher Talk. I am super excited, y'all. We are in for a treat. Today, our Teacher Talk is going to highlight the one, the only, the phenomenal Janell Anthony. She is a ninth grade science teacher, and y'all, we are in for a treat. I could talk about her all day, but I would prefer that she takes the lead on this. Janell, tell us a little bit about your education background and what brought you to Kairos.
A little bit about my educational background. I did all of my K-12 learning in East St. Louis, Illinois. I then got a basketball scholarship to go to Ashford University. I played 4 years there. I received my BS in biology there. I then went through Lindenwood's teacher certification program, and I got my master's in teaching from Lindenwood. I taught a couple years in East St. Louis. The last 4 years I was at Vashon. And after being at Vashon for a couple of years, I was ready for a fresh start. I was ready for something new, something different, something innovative. And that's how I stumbled upon Kairos. And I've been enjoying my time at Kairos so far.
You talked a little bit about playing basketball, having a master's degree, having all of this experience. What has really stood out to you about Kairos thus far? I know you have wonderful relationships with the kids. How have you been able to kind of leverage both of those worlds, that background knowledge that you bring in and the babies that you work with every day?
I really wanted to be intentional about my next move in my career, and I really wanted to do something that I really felt was impactful. And the community and the environment here at Kairos is just that. Being a scholar, growing up in East St. Louis, I was always at the top of my class. You know, I really didn't have any issues when it came to my educational backing growing up. But when I got to college, that was not the case. I got my first C in college. And I really thought that I was really smart. You know, I think I know everything. So when I got to college, I was just like, dang, you know, there was some lack there. There was some deficits there. And I really know that we have a lot of students just like me in the St. Louis area who may be very articulate, may be intelligent just naturally, but their K through 12 experience is not getting them what they need specifically to excel in corporate America or, you know, in any specific trade. So I really wanted this move to be very special and important. And I do think the skills that we are building or helping our students build, the agency that we're requiring them to have here at Kairos, I really feel like that is one of the most important things and one of the most special things that I've been doing here at Kairos is I really feel like I'm really making a difference and not just talking about what educators talk about when they say, oh, we're going to be equitable. Oh, we're going to give our students the tools. No, I feel like I'm actually finally doing that work. And so that is the one thing that has really been sticking out to me since I've been here at Kairos.
I really appreciate you saying that, and it speaks to like who you are at your core. Talk to us a little bit more about your experience using the Summit platform. So we talk about project-based learning. It's really different from other schools, and we really have tried to reimagine education, but it starts with our educators in the classroom. So can you tell us a little bit more how you reimagine education with science with your scholars?
Teaching science, I love project-based learning. Like I feel like in science, you have to, in order for students to really learn and for those principles to stick, they have to apply science. They have to relate it to real world and real life instances. And that's exactly what we're doing. In our last project, we did ecosystem health and we did a bio blitz right in Benton Park, right down the street. We walked to the park. We identified organisms. They collected data. Then they analyzed the data that they had. So it's not just about, when you think project-based learning, is hands-on experiences, is real life, tangible experiences that our students are getting. And this is what success is going to eventually look like, you know, in the classroom in the future. I think that Summit really does a great job at deepening the level of knowledge of each individual student. And it does allow them to create the work that how they want to see it, right? Your results in your project is specific to you. If you want to write it, if you want to draw it, if you want to record a video, if you want to create a poster board, all of those things are very tailored to each specific student. And so when it comes to project-based learning, I really think that we are actually applying the things and getting our students to obtain the skills that they really need to be successful adults.
One thing that we try to pride ourselves here at Kairos is creating self-directed independent learners, but most of the classroom should be student-centered. When we think about like equity for scholars, how do you implement intervention strategies for scholars that need it to make sure they leave with exactly what they need in order to access the material?
Equity is one of the things that, since it's been a hot topic in education for the past couple of years, it's something that I really, really, really think is super important for our kids. And I just talked about this today with my students, so it's funny. But I said, you know, I have a prescription, right? I wear contacts. Some of my students wear glasses, but if they were to wear my contacts, they wouldn't be able to see, because my prescription is specific for me. So in my classroom, I'm not doing the same thing for every student, because it's not, that's not an equitable experience. Right. When we think about equity, we think about getting each student what they need. So I'm specifically grouping students. I'm specifically looking at data, looking at who's excelling and who's in the middle and who's falling behind. And I'm really putting students in a position that they can learn from each other as well as learn from me as their educator. When it comes to creating equity in the classroom, I'm always putting myself in a position, whether it's grouping, whether it's one-on-one talks, whether it's workshops, this group is working on this while that group is working on that. I'm also incorporating several different modalities of learning. So there might be some videos, there might be some drawings. They did a skit today, you know, so I'm always trying to give them little bits and pieces of different modalities of learning so that they can say, oh, I really like learning this way. And then they'll be able to get those principles and those scientific facts to start sticking, and then they can learn better that way.
I love that. And then speaking of love, I really think about our core values. It spells out LEAD, but the L stands for love, the A is for agency, the E is for excellence, and the D is for diversity. You not only are a science teacher, but you also are an advisor. Tell me about those core values and how they play out, not only in your classroom, but also in your advisory that you have every morning.
I have a lot of different personalities in my advisory. And I think my favorite part about advisory is the one-on-one mentorship. I think Summit, whoever created Summit, they knew what they were doing when they were incorporating that one-on-one mentorship, because it just creates a safe space for our kids. And so, you know, a lot of times students don't want to necessarily talk to their parents or their other teachers about what they have going on or struggles that they have. And what I'm finding is that the more we mentor our students, the more we mentor our podlings, the more comfortable they become with us. And they start to become your babies. It starts to become, and then they start to become a family. So what I've been seeing now is I've been seeing my students in my advisory starting to, you know, build relationships and friendships with each other. And I think that's the most beautiful thing.
Yes.
When you have children, especially from an area like St. Louis, where there's this stigma, you know, around what a typical kid from St. Louis could potentially look like. And these kids are just breaking down barriers. They're becoming more emotionally intelligent, and they don't even realize it. But, you know, my advisory, we do mindfulness every morning for 3 minutes. We listen to rain sounds, and they hate it. But every morning they do it. Every morning
they
like,
take it in and center themselves.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we got to do mindfulness again. I'm like, yes, we're going to do
every day.
Mindfulness every single morning. And, you know, it's just become a part of our community inside our community. And so I think the advisory, that's one of my favorite parts of the day, because it's lax, you know, they get to work on life skills, social skills. And it's a really special time.
What motivates you as an educator? When we think about the state of education across this country, a lot of people say, well, it's not. But the people that are actually doing the work every day, what is it to you, and how are you driven to continue to show up and be your best self and give 110%? Because it requires a lot of you daily to have that level of commitment. So what motivates you? Because people are, what's the magic sauce? Why are you here every day doing what you do?
I, as a kid, so my mom works for a organization called Leslie Bates, and she worked with 0 to 3 year olds, and then she also works with parents, and kind of gives them tools that they need to, be great parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so I watched for my whole entire life. I watched my mom give back to a community that she's not even from. And so I honestly just think just watching, because we're creatures of habit. So I honestly think just watching her give back so much, it just instilled something in me, and I've been able to see that as an adult, because when I was a kid, I was like, I can't stand kids, I'm not working with kids. Look at me now, like I'm an educator, and I really just think my motivation is really just wanting this next generation. If I could just, make a difference in 1 or 2 of these kids' lives, I think that's super important. They talk about people need to go into, the medical field, or people need to go into the legal field, but we are the ones who instill those ideas into the next generation of presidents, of senators, of lawyers, of doctors, of teachers, of mechanics, of truck drivers. So I think it's just, I had a community around me of people who told me, whatever you wanted to do, you can do it. And I know the sense of pride that I had in being educated and being smart, and, people seeing me and maybe thinking I'm not this, but then once I open my mouth, they're like, oh, she's really articulate. Oh, she is educated. And I think, just defying the odds and continuing to beat the odds is just something that always is a motivator for me. And then there's not a lot of Black women in STEM, in science or in math. Just having somebody that they can relate to, that they can talk to outside of just science, that is what motivates me. And I love what I do. I'm able to use my degree. A lot of people aren't able to do that. Just being able to see the kids' faces and really just teach them about things that they don't know, and just push them in the right direction, pushing the generation in the right direction. Just my small corner of the earth. I just think that is what always has fueled me, is just being in a position to give back.
Let me assure you that you have impacted more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is a multitude of kids. Everyone that has come into your presence and been able to experience you as an educator has been immensely blessed. So continue to do that work. And wanted to say,
thank you.
Girl, we see you. Our last question for our segment with you, I want to actually direct this question to our parents. Parents send us the very best that they have, right? They don't have a different kid. They send us their pride and their joy. And it's up to us to kind of continue what they've started at home in our school as far as educating them and preparing them for the world. So what advice can you give parents or insight into what happens at the school, what they can anticipate and expect as far as the quality of the education that we're giving and providing? And then is there any help or support that you would like for them to just make sure that we are having this partnership and both people kind of understand what that relationship looks and feels like?
One thing that I want parents to understand is that failure is a part of progress. And so the kids come home, they say this is hard, they can't do it, they're confused. That's a part of learning. I had a professor in college that told us that his job every day is for us to leave confused, and that by the end of the year we'll start to tie the pieces of the puzzle together. And so Summit may seem like this aggressive, fast-paced piece of platform, but it's really simple. If your child is not feeling challenged, if they're not feeling confused, then really what's the point, right? So I want parents to embrace that struggle, as well as the students need to embrace the struggle, because it's a transition, right? Our kids are now in the 9th grade, they're in high school, and it's different. It's not the same thing as middle school. So they have to be in a position to change and shift, as well as ways to support the parents would just be to reach out to us. If you feel like you're not hearing from us, you feel like it's not consistent communication, you can reach out to us, because we will paint a clear, vivid picture of what it is and what it means to excel here at Kairos. I absolutely believe in the message here, in the structure here, and I think that a lot of schools could and should adopt the way that we do things here at Kairos. You know, you have all of these other schools that are claiming to be, you know, prestigious, but when it gets down to the meat of it, are they really, really pushing all kids, not just the ones that come in and are already smart? Are they pushing the kids from the bottom to the middle to the middle to the top? And so I just want parents to always know that, yeah, your kid is going to be frustrated. They might even cry, you know, because it might seem like it's a lot and it's hard, but it is for the betterment of their success. And so anytime they want to communicate with us or talk to us or reach out to us, feel free. We're here and we're all on the same page, and we're all here to push the kids forward. And so, yeah, that's my little tidbit.
Well, that was a good tidbit, and it really signifies what our motto is, which is nothing impossible. Before we end, I want to give it back to you. Is there anything else you want to share? Anything else that I haven't asked, or anything else that you really feel like signifies who you are as an educator that you want everyone out there to know before we conclude our teacher talk?
There was something that it came up during our PD. You actually brought it up, and I've heard it at other PDs before. And it's just something that I just feel like I am. And that's a no nonsense nurturer. So when the kids come into the classroom, and people can attest to this, I can have my door open or closed, the expectation is there. And so I just want people, whoever is watching, to know that there are educators that are holding your kids to a high standard and are going to require them to do the hard work. And it may not feel good, it may not be easy, and it doesn't always come across as just nice and fluffy, but it is, you know, to push them in the right direction.
And we're going to drop the mic on that. Y'all, let's give a big round of applause for our girl, Janell Anthony, 9th grade science teacher. And I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye.